Hello, passionate football fans, and welcome to the Overthinker podcast. And that was a fantastic week 2 of NFL football. We started things off on Thursday night with the Chiefs and Chargers with a pretty epic game. And going throughout the weekend, there were some really good games. You had the Lions beating the Commanders in a pretty good, almost dominant fashion. You know, the Commanders did come back into the game there in the second half, but the Lions held on. Then you had Kyler Murray running around making plays for the Cardinals late. Had that crazy run on the extra point. That was insane. This is kind of what I talked about last week, but it looks like Cliff Kingsbury is going to get another year. If Kyler Murray keeps playing like this, it's going to be really frustrating for Cardinals fans probably because they know Cliff ain't the guy. But yeah, Kyler Murray running around making plays, and Cliff Kingsbury is probably going to get some credit, unfortunately. And then you have Darius Big Play Slay basically shutting out Justin Jefferson. Incredible performance, had himself 2 interceptions with that great play in the red zone. No surprise, obviously, Lions fan here. I know Darius Slay is really good. He is one of those players that when he's on his game, he is one of the better bump and run corners in the NFL. Plays the ball well, especially when he's in phase. You do not want to test Darius Slay. He's going to make the play. Has great ball skills, obviously. Very smart, and still has the speed to run with some of the better receivers in the NFL, obviously. He's also a pretty good tackler. Not the best, but he's a guy who will make open field tackles. And yeah, we had some other crazy happenings here. Colts getting blown out by the Jaguars. We also had the Dolphins coming back versus the Ravens in a very epic game. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle basically almost had probably 370 yards combined or something insane. I don't know what the best plan is to stop a team like that, but it's definitely probably to not let Tyreek Hill run alone down the sideline in the fourth quarter. I don't know what was happening on that play. When I initially saw it, I was actually watching the Lions game, and I think it was on a commercial or something, and I looked over, and I just seen Tyreek Hill running alone, running into the end zone with no one around him. And, when I initially saw the replay, I thought, well, maybe he thought he had safety help over top, but after looking back at it, there was no safety over there. It was on the backside of a trips formation, and basically he had the guy man coverage. So the defender, I have no idea what he was doing. He was basically sitting down waiting for Tyreek Hill to make a break on an inside or outside route, and all Tyreek did was just run straight the entire play. He didn't even put a move on the guy. He just kept running straight and basically caught the defender trying to jump something underneath, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, obviously, that's not the defense you want to run versus Tyreek Hill. You do not want to leave him one-on-one on the backside anyways, but you definitely don't want to let him run down the field like that uncovered. And yeah, some other things. We had Trey Lance unfortunately break his ankle. I did not really watch any of that game, but that's really unfortunate to hear. He's only played in 5 games in the last 2 years or something, and now it's going to be a whole nother year before he even gets back on the field, and that's really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Niners do now. I imagine they're probably going to make the playoffs, and with Jimmy Garoppolo, they definitely have a higher floor, so I think going forward, you're going to see probably Vegas and on all these betting websites, you're going to see the Niners favored in more games because they have a quarterback with a higher floor, certainly. And I think this pretty much cements the 49ers to be a playoff team this year with having Jimmy Garoppolo. I think it would be really hard for me to see them missing the playoffs, and they're probably going to be at least the 4th best team in the NFC. All right, so getting into our picks here, we had picked the over in the Chargers-Chiefs game. Wound up being pretty close, but the game did not go over. Hopefully Justin Herbert won't miss too much time with his cracked ribs or something, or rib cartilage. It was a really weird explanation. But yeah, watching the game, he looked like he was in a ton of pain. So yeah, hopefully next week he won't take too many hits. And, maybe going forward he can play a different style of football, not take too many hits. And they're probably going to be trying to get rid of the ball more quickly, stuff like that. So maybe lean more on the run game. It might be a really good idea to try and trade for someone like Sony Michel, possibly in your fantasy league, because I could expect him to get a lot more carries and a lot more receptions now, probably. Then for the Panthers and Giants, we had picked the Giants to cover. And this line actually did move after I had made that video, but I still picked the Giants. And I didn't really watch any of this game, unfortunately. But good to see the Giants win another game with that new coaching staff. And we'll have to see what they look like going forward if I can catch any of their games. Then we have the Colts getting blown out by the Jaguars. I had picked the Colts favored by 3 points. That's not what happened. Looks like Matt Ryan was under pressure a lot. And did not play well under pressure. But also, you have to look at things like the offensive coordinator. They were down a couple receivers. No Michael Pittman, no Alec Pierce. Jonathan Taylor couldn't really get much going. I'm kind of surprised Naheem Hines didn't have a bigger game. Yeah, I would like to see guys like that get more involved in this type of a game script, probably. But overall, this does not look good for Frank Wright. Basically tying to the Texans and then losing to the Jaguars by 24 points here, getting blown out. This is really not a good look for that coaching staff at all. And unfortunately, it looks like the Colts might probably miss the playoffs this year because the AFC is very competitive, and this is not a good start for them. Then we have the Buccaneers and Saints. I had picked the Buccaneers favored by 2.5. They do wind up winning, but not in the greatest fashion. You had Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore getting ejected. That definitely was on Mike Evans, that play. Basically, there was just like a normal shuffle kind of going on, and then Mike Evans comes running in trying to basically take out Marshawn Lattimore. Kind of a weird chain of events, as this was all caused by Tom Brady basically talking crap to somebody. And it's funny how Tom Brady's not really being talked about at all, but he's definitely the one that started the whole shuffle. But yeah, going forward, I am kind of worried about the Buccaneers wide receiver and offensive line situation. They did just sign Cole Beasley. For what it's worth. He's a solid slot receiver. We'll have to see how much he's going to play, but I'm imagining he's going to basically take Scotty Miller's job, as I think Tom Brady was getting pretty upset at Scotty Miller this game. Scotty Miller had a couple drops and didn't play well through contact and a few snaps. Definitely could have had a really good game. He was targeted a decent amount. And there also was a play where Scotty Miller kind of slipped coming out of his break on an out route. And Tom Brady was really mad about that play. And Tom Brady, we have seen this before. He definitely favors guys who consistently show up in the right spot and catch the ball on time. So yeah, going forward, it will be interesting to see what happens. But the Buccaneers do play the Packers next week at 4:25 start. So we will see two veteran quarterbacks basically throwing to receivers they don't like. And that could be fun. Then we have the Seahawks and 49ers. We had picked the Seahawks to cover and not lose by 8.5. They wound up losing by 20. So not the greatest look here for the Seahawks to basically lose this game. Even though Trey Lance wasn't playing that well, when Jimmy Garoppolo came in, they started playing a little better on offense for the Niners. But yeah, the Seahawks basically had no chance in this game, did not play well throughout. And yeah, moving on to the Cardinals and Raiders, I did catch the last few drives of this game. Yeah, we had the last drive for Kyler Murray and then the overtime drive where Hunter Renfrow fumbled twice in 3 plays, which is crazy for a veteran receiver like that. You don't typically see guys like that fumble the ball at all in those situations, but certainly twice. But yeah, really, that's an incredible play by Isaiah Simmons to come up and make that fumble, and then Byron Murphy to pick it up, stay in bounds, and score. Yeah, that's really incredible, and it probably will go down as one of the most impactful plays of the season if the Cardinals do, in fact, make the playoffs somehow. And yeah, I think the most fun plays for me to watch are definitely when a defense scores a touchdown. I think that is the most entertaining play in football, and yeah, it's always fun to see plays like that in overtime, especially. But yeah, Raiders did not look as good as I thought they would on offense. Only targeted Devontae Adams a few times throughout this game. Yeah, I mean, I guess they were winning this game for most of the time because the Cardinals couldn't get anything going. So yeah, I would say they deserve to lose the game. You're only going to target Devontae Adams 3 or 4 times. Then we have the Bengals and Cowboys. I had picked the Bengals to win by at least 7 points. Cowboys actually wound up winning this game somehow. Cooper Rush playing well enough. And then the Cowboys defense, that defensive line, Micah Parsons, unblockable. He is currently looking like possibly the defensive player of the year. He did get a few votes last year. And I would say at this point, he is probably, if I was going to make a bet, it would probably be on Micah Parsons to win defensive player of the year, because he's probably going to have a few games where he gets a ton of sacks. And as far as the Bengals go, it's really tough to discern if it is a big issue on the offensive line, or if it is Joe Burrow hanging on to the ball too much, or if it's a combination of those two things. And you also have the games they have played, as they have played against the Steelers and Cowboys, two teams that have very good pass rush. So yeah, going forward, that's something we will have to monitor, obviously. But they do play against the Jets next week, and then the Dolphins. So going forward, we'll have to see how they handle that pass rush. And if Joe Burrow can play a little better, get the ball out a little quicker to some of its playmakers. But we have seen in the past that doesn't always work. But yeah, Joe Burrow can't just hang on to the ball and try to make crazy plays throwing on the run every game, because he is going to take a lot of hits, and hopefully he won't get hurt. But if you were trying to get hurt, this is the style of quarterback you would play. Then for the Titans and Bills, we had picked the Titans to not lose by 10 points or more. Does wind up happening. They looked really bad this game. I was able to watch this game in full as it was a later start game. And yeah, I thought obviously Josh Allen looks insane. Looks like the best player in the NFL probably. He is definitely probably going to win MVP. I don't even know who would be close at this point. I mean, obviously guys like Mahomes and Justin Herbert are going to be in that conversation. But right now, it pretty much is Josh Allen and nobody else for me. Yeah, so for this game, we had Stephon Diggs had a pretty big game. DraftKings actually had a live bet show up for Stephon Diggs to get 125 yards and Bills to win for like plus 600. And at this point, when I bet on that, Stephon Diggs already had like 40 yards or something. So I was like, I guess I'll put $5 on that. And obviously winds up happening. So that's pretty cool. Made some money off this game, even though I picked the wrong team. But yeah, for the Titans, this is really interesting. I don't know exactly like what's going on with this situation. It looks like they are consistently just calling the wrong types of plays on offense. I mean, you had a 9-yard run where Derrick Henry was lined up in an I formation. You had a nice combo block with a guard and center on the left side. And yeah, that looked like a typical Derrick Henry type of run where he can basically get the ball with a head of steam running at the line and break some tackles. But for most of this game, they were lining up in shotgun a lot with Derrick Henry basically lined up next to Tannehill. And I've said this in the past. A lot of people have said this in the past. Derrick Henry is like one of the worst shotgun running backs like in the history of the NFL. He has no lateral quickness, and it doesn't mean he's a bad running back. He is an elite running back. But when you put him in the shotgun and ask him to basically take the handoff and cut into an open hole or hop laterally into a different gap, he is not good at that. He has vision, but he just doesn't have the lateral quickness to get there. And you saw this instantly when they put in Hassan Haskins, who has a little more wiggle to his game, a little more lateral quickness. Hassan Haskins was a lot more efficient in this offense, basically because Derrick Henry wasn't built to run the type of offense that the Titans are running right now. And right now it looks like the Titans on offense kind of want to run this RPO style, college-y offense. with all of these receivers they have. They actually have some depth at receiver, but they don't really have the number one, so this is typically the type of offense you would design for something like that. But Derrick Henry doesn't really work in that offense at all, and if you're going to use him like that, you might as well trade him. So yeah, that is a huge problem going forward. If the Titans want to run the ball with Derrick Henry, the quarterback should be under center, handing the ball to Derrick Henry as he's running an outside zone or running straight at the line. And, give him a whole go through, and he's going to probably score a touchdown. But unfortunately, I don't really have confidence that they will change the offense that much. We'll have to see going forward what happens with Mike Vrabel. I do think putting in Malik Willis would have a good impact on the run game, so that might be what they do going forward. It probably wouldn't happen this week, but if they have another game like this where they're just getting completely blown out, they're probably going to blame this on Tannehill, even though I don't really see it much as Tannehill's problem. I mean, Tannehill didn't play well this game, but they also basically designed an offense around their best player that doesn't fit his skill set at all. Derrick Henry is definitely the best player on the team. And then we have the Patriots and Steelers. I had picked the Steelers to cover and not lose by 2 points. Unfortunately, it did not happen. I guess got kind of close there. And yeah, this is a game I didn't watch a lot of. Looked like Damian Harris had a nice game. And then you had Nelson Aguilar making a crazy reception where he's basically mossing a cornerback for a touchdown. That was pretty cool. And yeah, Nelson Aguilar has a couple plays like that every year where he literally looks like Julio Jones or something crazy. And then moving on to the Jets and Browns. We had picked the Browns to cover 6 points. They actually wind up losing this game. Jets come back. I didn't watch much of this game. I did watch the last maybe drive and a half by the Jets. I did see that touchdown to Garrett Wilson. And yeah, it looks like, maybe with Joe Flacco, the Jets can actually win some games, possibly. So yeah, that's kind of surprising. This is one of the bigger wins for the Jets so far under this coaching regime. Then we have the Dolphins and Ravens. I kind of already talked about the Tyreek Hill play. But, yeah, we had picked the over in this game. Kind of almost didn't happen until the Dolphins basically owned the second half. I did see a few of the plays from this game. A lot of replays when you see big plays, because I have 5 games going on at once. I usually catch the replays of big plays. And yeah, I seen the big run by Lamar Jackson, few big plays by both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Also some really nice plays from guys like Rashad Bateman had 4 catches for a ton of yards. I don't know, must have been 100. So yeah, Rashad Bateman looked really fast this game, obviously. Mark Andrews had a nice game. I have him in fantasy. And overall, this was a pretty entertaining game, kind of high scoring. But throughout the game, Ravens kind of really struggled running the ball. And a lot of last year, they actually struggled running the ball. If you don't include Lamar Jackson, they're really not that great of a running team right now. And a lot of that can probably be boiled down to the offensive line. They really haven't been investing as much as they had in the past. Hopefully going forward, their offensive line get a little better. They can get some of these running backs back from injury and just be a better offense, maybe. But, playing this style of football will be more fun because Lamar Jackson is just going to be making a lot of plays, running around, and also throwing the ball downfield. Then for the Commanders and Lions, we had picked the Lions, and they win in not quite dominant fashion, but it was a really good game overall. Had a pretty big lead for most of the game, and then they held on at the end. A lot of times in the past, the Lions would basically allow teams to come back and win games. There's been a lot of times when the Lions have had multiple possession leads on good teams like the Packers and the Patriots and the Chiefs, and basically lost all those games. So, yeah, this is good to see. I don't know if the Commanders are a good team. I mean, they've only played against the Jaguars and the Lions, and they lost to both. So, yeah, maybe the Commanders are a really bad team, but at least the Lions won, so that's good. Then we have the Falcons and Rams. I didn't really see a ton of this game, unfortunately. unfortunately. But I did pick the Falcons to cover the 10 points. Looks like they're going to be consistently a team that you have to worry about covering these big spreads. So maybe going forward we'll keep picking them. I don't know. Then we have the Texans again covering a spread versus the Broncos. Broncos on offense did not look good at all. I did see some of this game. You had that crazy scenario where the Broncos all of a sudden want to kick a 64-yard field goal instead of going for a 4th and short. And then they also wasted like a ton of time on that last drive. I don't know what the Broncos are doing on offense, but it's not smart. I mean, you are getting some big plays to Cortland Sutton, but it looks like everyone else on that offense is just not getting enough plays designed for them. And it's not like they're really been that bad running the ball. I don't quite understand what the deal is there. You know, Russell Wilson's not playing awful, but he's also not like playing at an elite level or anything. I think the biggest problem so far has been the offensive play calling, and that is not something you expected for Nathaniel Hackett, their new head coach. So this will have to be something to monitor going forward, and we may have to make like a separate video about that. In situations like that, obviously, you got them, you got the Titans, you got a few of these AFC teams that are just not what we expected going into the year, and that's very interesting. So we have the Bears and Packers. We had picked the over in this game. Did not quite happen. We got to 37. And for this game, really, I mean, Aaron Rodgers looks good. The Packers on offense can really run the ball well. They're really spreading the ball around. Allen Lazard is definitely their best receiver right now. Sammy Watkins also kind of showed up for this game, so that's nice to see. Him still making plays on like his third team, I think. His third team might have been his fourth team. But for the Bears, I really don't know. Do they trust Justin Fields? I mean, he only threw the ball 11 times. For an NFL game, that is really weird to see. I mean, they did drive down the field in the second half there and almost score. Justin Fields basically stopped on the 1-yard line on like a quarterback run. Got really close. I actually thought he got in, but they didn't really have the camera angle to show it. I was surprised they called him short, honestly. The referee kind of ran in, and when he ran in, I was like, wow, is that really not a touchdown? It looked like, based on where his head was, that the ball would be in the end zone, but they called it short, and they really didn't have the replays to overturn. So, yeah, I mean, they could have scored again. It would have been, maybe 18-24, 17-24, and they would have had a chance to stop the Packers there. But did not happen. Obviously, the next drive, the Packers go down and score. But, anytime you have a scenario like that, the defense is going to play better probably if they know they have a chance of winning. So this game actually wound up being kind of close. Closer than the score would indicate, probably. Then we have the Eagles and Vikings. Eagles wind up winning 24-7. I had picked Minnesota to not lose by 3 points, and they wound up losing by 17. Really couldn't get much going on offense. Justin Jefferson was basically plastered throughout the night by Darius Slay. But yeah, it's interesting how the Vikings couldn't really get anything else going. I mean, they have other guys that can make plays. You did have a really, really bad drop by one of the Vikings wide receivers. I'm blanking on the name. It certainly was a touchdown. It was a really nice play by Kirk Cousins, reading the defense and making an incredible throw. So yeah, I guess that could have made the game a little closer, but yeah, Eagles dominated throughout the game, basically won most lines of scrimmage. And Justin Jefferson could not get anything going versus Darius Slay. And yeah, that's very impressive. I love watching really good cornerback play. That's honestly one of my favorite things in the NFL to watch, is guys like Darius Slay and guys like Jalen Ramsey, who made that pick at the end of the game for the Rams. Not sure exactly why. Most people like watching lots of scoring, but I really enjoy watching wide receiver and defensive back interactions and watching guys who are just incredibly good at staying in phase and making plays in phase. It just takes a really high level of understanding of football and what the offense is trying to do. And yeah, like elite man-to-man coverage skills are something that are really hard to find in the NFL. And I would say Darius Slay has them. You know, it's not every game, but he certainly has games where he looks like one of the best players in the NFL. All right, and then looking at our prop bets for the week, we had picked Isaiah Pacheco for 370. Did not happen. He actually only had a few carries this game. Jerick McKinnon actually had more carries, so maybe going forward, McKinnon will be the number 2. I'm not certain. But yeah, maybe Isaiah Pacheco got more carries last week because the Chiefs were kind of just blowing out the Raiders. I'm not certain, but I thought he might be more involved this week. Then DeAndre Carter plus 245 didn't happen. But you did have that 4th down play where Justin Herbert threw it to DeAndre Carter, got stopped on like the 1-yard line. That was the play like right after Justin Herbert like broke a rib or something. But he made an incredible play, incredible throw there. And then unfortunately DeAndre Carter gets tripped up as he's basically trying to fall into the end zone there. But yeah, I guess we were actually pretty close there. And then Jahan Dotson actually had 2 touchdowns. But yeah, we had the plus 215 there. Alec Pierce did not wind up playing, had an injury. It looked like something they were monitoring throughout the week. But yeah, plus 550 did not play. And yeah, Colts scored no points. So maybe looking forward, it might not be good to bet on the Colts wide receivers, other than maybe Michael Pittman. Then we have Robbie Anderson plus 195. Did not happen. Jordan Mason plus 1,000. I don't know if he even played. But if he doesn't play, basically you would get a refund. But I basically can't find that information. And then DK Metcalf plus 250. Seahawks only scored 1 touchdown, really weren't competitive in that game. So yeah, it did not really happen. And then looking at our picks for the week, 6 wins, 10 loss. And yeah, not the best. Not quite as good as last week. Last week we were 7-9. And yeah, that puts us at 13-19 on the season. So not the greatest so far. It could be a lot worse though. And yeah, it seems like maybe certainly there are some teams that have a better feel for what they're going to play like, and some teams I don't yet, as I haven't really watched them much. But going forward, maybe I'll get better. Hopefully, we'll see. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will catch you in the next video. Probably going to be a Lions video about their Week 3 matchup.